Hello and welcome to Real Talk, a movie conversation show with me conversing with myself. I am Paul Britton. I'm here to talk to you today about a couple of movies that came out this past Friday. That's right, we're doing movie reviews as we have been doing every week since I have taken over. And let me tell you, I'm calling this Representation Matter Weeks because both of these movies, interestingly enough, the two movies I'll be talking about are Blue Beetle and Miguel Wants to Fight, which is a Hulu release, which literally you have to like go into the depths of Hulu to actually find that it was something that was released, but that's more on that later. These are two movies that the primary characters are Hispanic teenagers. Okay, Blue Beetle, he's not quite a teenager. He's a college graduate, so he's like 21, 22, maybe 23. And I think it's important. Look, it just is. All right. Look, we need better voices of diversity out there, and so I'm all for it. Now, unfortunately, one of these two movies happens to be a DC movie, and regular viewers will know that I've been a little down on DC of late, and I think they've earned a lot of negativity forever. They've done very little to ingratiate people to their product. One of the funniest lines in Barbie was when they wake up the first Barbie during the third act. They wake up the first Barbie that had been sort of come under this spell of the patriarchy. She says, I just suddenly became really interested in the Snyder cut of Justice League. And that's really funny because nobody gives a flying F about the Snyder cut of Justice League except for just terrible people, terrible people that have really bad takes on everything. Because look, I'm done with that. We're talking about Blue Beetle today, so let's just go ahead. We'll dive right in. Let me get the banner up there. So Blue Beetle, Blue Beetle is a DC character that I had literally never heard of before the movie was announced. They could have announced the movie and not put DC on it, and I would have just assumed that like somebody was creating their own like comic book character, and I and to be like a representation Hispanic comic book character, I'd be like, okay, cool, whatever. I mean, we'll see. I'll give it a chance. And then I found out it was DC. It's like, oh, but the interesting thing, the really interesting thing is, so not only did they say we're going to take a character that it just is a super minor character, I am a bigger Marvel person, even in comic books, as well as movies. But specifically in comic books, we'll talk about like things that I am aware of as far as comic books and stuff. My DC exposure is basically like the awesome Justice League cartoon from the 70s and 80s. If you weren't in that, I probably like have only heard of you tangentially, potentially. And Blue Beetle was not in that, so I have not heard of you, Blue Beetle. I apologize. Apparently, he's been around like he before he joined DC Comics in 1978 or something like that. He's been around like since 38. Like some little 2-bit comic group had this guy called Blue Beetle. And then they kind of reintroduced him. He vanished for a while, and then they reintroduced him in 2011 under with a new primary with a new alter ego, Jaime Reyes. And okay, cool. I still never heard of you though, but not only did they take a character that's just kind of like you really kind of need to be in on the comic books to know, but they also gave a guy, Gareth Dunnett Alcocer, an opportunity to write the movie. Had let you go look at his IMDb. He's not written anything you've heard of, like, or basically anything really. And they gave a director, Angel Manuel Soto, a guy who has directed one movie. It was released in 2020, which tells you all you need to know because absolutely nothing was released in 2020. And I mean, wow. So it's interesting. here, just, long story short, it's a better movie than I expected. I really kind of went in thinking this is not going to be good. I want it to be good, because I do value representation. I do think that it's really interesting and important to have, this sort of one corner of your lot be, if you're talking about a movie lot, like one segment of your lot being dedicated to like Hispanic characters. Great, fantastic, let's do it. um Unfortunately the box office, it didn't even break 30 million, which is pretty bad for, you know it's really bad for a comic book movie, but it didn't even beat The Flash, which did really badly as well. I think this will have more legs than The Flash, though, just because it is not terrible. Um, okay, so negatives first. The script is it's not well written. It's just not. That's okay. I get it. You've never written one before, but the dialogue is just really cheesy. And like, so I wasn't surprised when I went and to look to see, oh, who wrote this, that the guy hadn't really written anything, because he just this is writing is like anything else, is that you get better by doing it, and by having other people have an opportunity to get exposure to it, to find out what worked, what didn't, that sort of thing. Don't be in an echo chamber, listen to feedback, yada yada yada. This guy needs more work, and I think that's fair. I don't think that's an unfair criticism. Um, like most DC characters, DC movies, this is like a umbrella complaint on all DC movies right now. You've got to fucking do better with your goddamn villains. Your villains are just fucking terrible. Period. End of story. Enough. All right. Susan Sarandon plays the paper thin evil executive. Like, why does DC need like 8 villains that are like CEOs of companies? And I get it. CEOs of companies are villains, and yes, that valid. But like, you've got Lex Luthor. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need another one. Okay, well, we're gonna do another one, but we're gonna make her uh horribly racist and just with nothing compelling going on. And except maybe we'll pretend like, we're going to say that her father passed up giving her the CEO position on the company, by giving it to his son, and we'll say that that's because of sexism, rather than she's just fucking crazy. And it's just like, you know what, how about make this person like semi likable, but then do a heel turn of some kind. I don't like, you got it cannot be this one dimensional. And then the 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 bad guy that the Blue Beetle has to like, the powerful bad guy, the one with superpowers. It's just Iron Man, and it's like, and this goes back to the poor writing. It just they have to power him up, and look, I'm sorry, the movie just the writing just didn't go, but things that worked. I really liked Jaime Reyes, and most of his family. They really were endearing. That's a really solid, uh, uh, solid foundation for a superhero movie, is liking the primary character. I could have done with a little less of his family. I kind of feel like we get it, and like more on just Jaime, and like, we know his family, and we know that he's going to feel a lot of, guilt and responsibility, and be compelled to, help his family as much as possible. And I don't think we need to see them over and over again. I think it takes away from what Jaime's trying to do. Um, Definitely, would have loved more like a montage. You know, just give us who doesn't love a montage? And I feel like a montage was missing here. That's okay. That's neither here. But yeah, Jaime really works. The one member of his family that I didn't like, and I'm probably gonna get like blasted for this, but and it's the character that most people have really liked. George Lopez's Uncle Rudy. Oh man, it's a one note character that wears super thin very fast. Just oh man, please not more. And for the love of God, do not make a sequel where he is like the mater and like has to carry the sequel. Don't do that. That would be a really really bad idea. His fake beard just didn't work at all and was completely unnecessary. And so he's basically turns out to be the guy in the chair, to borrow from Spider-Man Homecoming. And you need to give us a little bit more on his qualifications for being the guy in the chair, but that's okay. Look, the the first act is a little slow getting started, but then once it starts picking up and you just kind of are like, okay, this is basically, a mix of Iron Man versus the Green Lantern or something like that. It you know it hits all the stuff. It's watchable. I didn't hate it. Like that's literally it. Like I didn't hate it. And so I'm gonna tell you, it's two tacos plus guac. The guac goes to Jaime Reyes's character because he really was a solid character. Bravo. I wouldn't mind seeing him in a supporting role in a larger ensemble film. I don't know that I would necessarily want nor need to see a sequel for Blue Beetle, though. That's where I'll put that. The other movie I caught this week is on Hulu. It's called Miguel Wants to Fight. Comedy. Clocks in at 75 minutes. Thank you. Oh my God. So right off the bat, like your floor for a 70-minute comedy is like two tacos plus guac. I mean, you have to be like literally completely unfunny for me to say, all right, you cannot sit through 75 minutes. You absolutely could sit through 75 minutes of this. The movie follows Miguel, who's Mexican and Puerto Rican and lives in Syracuse. Completely random, fine. And has a group of three friends. David, a Filipino kid whose father's a boxer who passed away. Oh geez, I don't remember his two other friends. A really funny African American woman, girl. They're in high school. Hold on, Miguel Wants to Fight. The friends' names are Cass and Srini, and so obviously Srini, a southeastern Asian gentleman, and look, this movie is written by Shea Serrano and Dave Concepcion, who uh, were writers and podcast contributors to Grantland, which was Bill Simmons from ESPN. Grantland, and then they moved over with him to The Ringer early on. They both have since left The Ringer, but they're really funny guys. Shea Serrano is so just right off the bat, this is clearly like not autobiographical, but it's like autobiographical adjacent because the main character is Hispanic and Shea Serrano is Hispanic, and his best friend is Filipino, and Dave Concepcion is Filipino. Shea Serrano's really fucking funny, but has the worst taste in movies. The funniest part of Shea Serrano is his horrible taste in movies. He just, if it's an action movie, he likes it. And one of the really endearing bits about this movie is that Miguel is a huge fan of action movies and anime, but is afraid to fight. And so what happens, the whole concept of the whole conceit of the movie is that Miguel's family is all of a sudden suddenly moving. He finds out like a week before they have to move. His mom got a job in Albany. And so he, because he has never gotten in a fight with his friends, i.e., when his friends get in fights, he kind of stands out in the back. He feels like he needs to get into a fight. So he tells his friends, look, I'm ready to get into a fight with you. I want to get into a fight. And so David, who is sort of like his conscience, if you will, grew up training as a boxer, and then as soon as his father died, he kind of lost the taste for it and stopped doing that. And look, it's a color by numbers comedy, teen comedy that works absolutely. Is it exceptional in any way? No, not really. But the interaction between the four characters is so good. Like every single minute when all four of those kids are on screen is absolutely gold. They found four wonderful actors for these roles. My favorite parts of the movie is they as Miguel was trying to figure out who he wants to fight, they would do like Miguel in scenes from famous movies like Enter the Dragon, where he's bringing Bruce Lee, another fight where it's the training session between Neo and Morbius. Then there's like a brief homage to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which ends up getting cut short, which is really funny. And then they do an homage to One Punch Man, which is an anime. And it's really fun. Look, the problem with this, my only problem with this movie is you can't fucking find it. There, you go to Hulu. You have no idea that it's there. It came out on Friday. There's no top of the banner. Hey, new movie. Miguel wants to fight. If you type in MIG, like Miguel wants to fight is literally the fourth thing down on the list after like two like kids cartoons that like who's watching this? Why am I getting recommended this? Actually, no, why I'm getting recommended this is because Jennifer is watching this terrible anime called Bleach right now. But point being, like, come on, Hulu, do better. This is a solid 75-minute movie. I hope people watch it. Miguel Wants to Fight gets 3 tacos from me. Please go to Hulu, watch Miguel Wants to Fight. Shea Serrano, Dave Concepcion, they're both fantastic. Seek out their podcasts and stuff. They're a lot of fun. They're very funny. If you like Game of Thrones, Dave Concepcion knows more about Game of Thrones than any other human being on the planet. Miguel Wants to Fight, Hulu, check it out. This has been another episode of Real to Real Talk Movie Reviews. I am your host, Paul Britton. I hope you have enjoyed your stay here. Remember, you're awesome. You're amazing. The world's a better place because you are in it. That is Sergio's line. I know I promised a month ago that I would come up with my own damn line, but it hasn't happened yet. I'll work on it. No episode next week. I'm going to Disney World this weekend, so I'm not going to be catching any movies, and I don't have a reason to be on here if I'm not watching movies. So I will see you in September after Labor Day, and I hope you all have a wonderful couple weeks. Thanks.